What is going on, AFC West Roundtable? It is absolutely amazing to be back. And you know, when Roundtable Sports is back, the AFC West Roundtable is back, that football is back also. We kicked it with you guys all year for 2024, and you showed up every single week. Even in the offseason, we were here. You guys showed up. You showed the love. And Roundtable Sports is back at it again for the 2025 season. The AFC West Roundtable is back and better than ever because we have a creator for every single team in the AFC West to represent the division, the best damn creators in the business to represent your fan bases. So let's go ahead and let's bring them on in. Man, let's go ahead and let's start off with you, Ryan. How you doing? First time here at the AFC West. Actually, Marcus, let's start with you. First time here for the AFC West Roundtable. How you feeling?
Feel good, man. Of course, obviously talking football, and of course we all have games in the next couple of days. I know the Chargers guys had their game last week, but that doesn't really count. Hall of Fame game doesn't count. But I'm excited, man. I'm excited. We got Cardinals. We'll probably see Mahomes for maybe a play or two, but I'll be excited for that one play that we'll see him.
You got to feel good. You know, football's back. But I got to ask you, right, because as a Chiefs fan, you made it to the Super Bowl. You did something that 30 other teams couldn't do, but you lost in one of the worst fashions possible. What's the mindset as a Chiefs fan entering 2025 after that massive disappointment?
Yeah, that was an ass kicking, I will say. But yeah, my mindset is hoping that it's a revenge kind of vibe this year. I know revenge for a team that's been in the Super Bowl and since Mahomes has been there, the floor has been the AFC Championship game. But I'm hoping it's a revenge kind of tour for Mahomes, and he's hearing a lot of doubters, a lot of rankings, having him like top 6 or top 7 quarterback in the NFL, and hoping, you know, he sees that bulletin board material and gets back to doing his MVP ways. So that's what I'm hoping for this year. I'm hoping for an offensive explosion from the Kansas City Chiefs offense.
Absolutely love it. And I cannot wait to get into everything that is happening with the Kansas City Chiefs because in a lot of ways, it is kind of a new era, right? It's trending towards a new era of Kansas City. And you got some young players there who are certainly shooting out. Maybe, you know, some former Patriots too. I'm excited to hear about, man. Shout out to Tyquan Thornton, man. Shout out to Tyquan Thornton. But let's go on over to Ryan, man. How are you feeling representing those Denver Broncos? Are you Bo leaving?
Oh, yeah. Everything's going great right now in Broncos country. We got that big haul in free agency, and we got the Niners coming up this week as well. So, you know, we got 2 of their players that we took from them. So things might get a little chippy this week in training camp because it's going to be some joint practices. But right now, everything's going great. Everything's looking up for us. Media's talking about Bo. Everyone's talking about us. So hopefully we just live up to that hype.
You expecting that defense to be the best in the league?
Listen, man, I'm always I'll believe it till I see it, guy, but they're going to be top 3 again. They'll be up there, but they got to earn that number 1 spot for me. That's how I am.
Are you officially locked in on Bo Nix? Because I know there's some people in Broncos country that are like, I still need for him to prove it. Are you on the cautious side or are you bought in?
The second we cut Russell Wilson, Bo Nix was my number guy in that draft. You guys don't know any of them, my friends, but I have witnesses. They call me crazy. I said, screw Caleb Williams, screw Jaden Daniels. If I had the number 1 pick, I'm taking Bo Nix. And then when Sean Payton came out and picked him, I knew I was right. I knew my judgment was right. The film that I watched, I was right about it. And he proved me right last year, and he's going to continue to prove me right. He's my guy.
Absolutely love it. Let's talk about another team that took a big leap forward in 2024 and is hopefully going to do the same thing in 2025. Andrew, how are you feeling about those Chargers?
I'm loving it, man. I tell you what, I was at training camp 3 days last week, and I saw nothing but awesomeness from all of the rookies that we drafted. Honestly, folks, I think it's going to be an amazing season for the Chargers. It's Jim Harbaugh, folks. Second year is always better. He's got, Herbert as a quarterback, and we got a good offensive line. We got an awesome running back room. Look, at the end of the day, it's sky's the limit for us at this point. At the end of the day, we got all kinds of talent and depth. That's what we showed at that Hall of Fame game. I know a lot of people think it's a wasted game, but at the end of the day, the 2s and 3s had an opportunity to go out and play against one of the best teams in the NFL, the Lions. And, not to be disrespectful, but we donkey punched them. So it was exciting to see. And I'm excited to see what happens moving forward.
Absolutely love it. Let's go back here to our final guy. Look, the guy in the basement, but maybe not that much longer. You know, you got Tom Brady in the building. You got the GOAT in the building. So there's got to be some of that positivity rubbed off there at some point. Pete Carroll won a Super Bowl in the past. Wasn't for the Raiders, but, you know, at least you got some experience in the building now. Samoan, tell me what is going on with the Raiders and how you feeling?
Man, I feel like the energy right now is just like at an all-time high. And I'm an optimistic Raider fan, so every year I'm always going to say the same thing. And I feel like this year it feels a little bit different. You know, the energy's feeling good. We got an actual head coach that's done it before, you know, not Josh McDaniels or any of these other guys, but I feel like Pete Carroll, his energy is kind of rubbing off on the players, bringing in a lot of veterans over here, you know, bringing in a quarterback and Geno Smith, who I believe is at least a top 12, top 10 quarterback in the league. We go out and draft Ashton Genty, who easily can be a top 5, top 3 running back in the league. And then we got a lot of young players here and there that's showing out in training camp. And I didn't even talk about Brock Bowers just yet. So I think the offense, there's a lot going there. And then obviously with Chip Kelly coming over here, I think the sky's the limit for the Raiders this year. And the defensive side, of course, when you have Max Crosby, we're pretty solid. We let go of Christian Wilkins because he was over there being a little freaky, but I think we should be okay this year, man. But I feel like the optimism is really high, and you could definitely feel the energy throughout the building and even at training camp as well.
Hey man, what's wrong, Samoa? You don't like to tickle the bros? You don't like to tickle the bros, man?
Oh man, I don't flow over here, dog.
That's
a little bit too much love over here.
That's how you know you're close.
Mm-hmm.
You don't tickle your bros. I mean, what are you doing? But real talk here, Simone. I want to ask you. What is your confidence level with the Raiders heading into 2025? Because I feel like for you guys, you kind of just been in this lower ground level for so many years. Like, do you feel like this is a team that can immediately be a playoff team, or do you feel like, you know, it's going to take us a couple years to start to be in that conversation?
Yeah, I think realistically, man, I see us around 8 to 9 wins. I think every other year I'm always shooting for the stars, but just being realistic, I feel like as long as we're competitive every game, that's a win for me. I guess we're not as blessed as Marcus and them, where their floor is the fucking AFC Championship. But as long as we run the AFC West and win a couple more games this year and be more competitive, that's all I can ask for. But like I said, I feel like the energy is just going to rub off on the rest of the players, and hopefully it amounts to wins.
Well, fellas, we got a lot to get into the first episode here, the AFC West Roundtable for the new season here in 2025. So before we start talking about everything that is going on in training camp for each of these respective teams, before it starts to get a little bit chippy, we want to let you guys know about the new sponsor here at Roundtable Sports, and the new sponsor here at the AFC West Roundtable, and that is over at RotoWire. Right now, that is linked in the description box below, and you guys can get 15% off when you use the code RTS. Let me tell you, if you guys have been looking for the perfect draft kit, you have now found it. My friends, the time is here to win your leagues with absolute ease. Their new draft assistant helps train you during mock drafts. Okay, this is something brand new that nobody else is doing. This is something that RotoWire actually just launched. Now, they have advanced analytics so that you can see how your sleepers perform in different weathers and against top defenses and so much more. You can also customize league settings to see expert rankings, extra points for a tight end, and receptions. That is absolutely no problem. The other good thing here about RotoWire is that they have a draft simulator. It's essentially a mock draft. And what you can do is you can put in your own personal preferences, right? These are the guys that I want priority to be drafted. These are guys that maybe I don't want to be drafted whatsoever. This is what I'm looking to do. I want to take a running back early. I want to be conservative. I want to go heavy on running back. I want to go heavy on wide receiver. This is how you are going to build the perfect draft strategy this upcoming season for 2025. Whether you're just in it for the money or whether you're in it just to have the bragging rights against your friends, your family, RotoWire is the #1 opportunity for you to make sure that you come out on top of your league in 2025. Remember that supporting the sponsors, that supports the channel, supports everybody at Roundtable Sports and everybody here at the AFC West Roundtable. Again, make sure you guys click that link in the description box below and get 15% off with RotoWire when you use the code RTS. But fellas, let's go go ahead and let's get into what everybody is looking for, and that is training camp. And Marcus, I want to start off here with you. Tell me what is going on here with the Kansas City Chiefs. The good, the bad, the ugly, everything. Let's give you the floor.
So let's start off with we'll start with the bad. And this is something that may not be surprising to most people. Hollywood Brown is probably the big one that he's already out for. It's been a good while with the ankle injury. It's been a week. They said it's minor, but that's all we're saying right now is an ankle injury. But he's been out for about a week now. And then Christian Fulton, I know my Chargers guy will be a fan of this one. Guy who started the season pretty solidly last year. Second half of the season fell off. He's been out since the entirety of training camp with a knee injury on the PUP as of right now. Hoping to see what he can do. He was a big kind of offseason acquisition for us, 2-year, $20 million deal. So hoping that we can see a little bit from Christian Fulton at some point. That's the bad, I would say. The good, and this is really good, is Josh Simmons. So Josh Simmons, a left tackle. Chiefs, you guys watched, you mentioned the Super Bowl. We looked like a disaster in that Super Bowl game. We had a left guard playing left tackle in that one. Didn't really have a left tackle pretty much all season last year. But seems like we got a dude, and that's Josh Simmons from Ohio State. If he didn't get injured last year, he probably would have been a top 10 pick. And a lot of teams are scared away by his injury, and that's what made him fall to 31. Chiefs ended up trading back and getting him at 32. And there was questions if he would be the guy going into camp or if he would play at all this year. And he was healthy and ready to rock during minicamp, and then he was clear for the beginning of training camp, and he's been the guy at which we signed Jalen Moore to compete for the left tackle spot. That competition is already done. Jalen Moore is rotating at the right tackle spot, rotating at the left guard spot. So it seems like we got our left tackle of the future and hoping that he can stay healthy and be that guy. He's gone head-to-head with Chris Jones during training camp so far, and he's done pretty well against all the guys, Charles Menahu, everybody. So fingers are crossed, and everyone's really optimistic about having the left tackle of the future in Josh Simmons. Just needs to stay healthy. But overall, say this offseason, going into this training camp, we locked up Trey Smith, traded Joe Thuney away to the Chicago Bears, elder statesman of the left guard. I'm going to miss him. But, we have Kingsley Sumatia, who's going to be taking over that spot at the left guard spot. And, last year at left tackle, didn't look the best there. But over the year, they kind of transitioned him over to guard, and he's looked pretty much the part this entire time during training camp. Obviously, we'll see week 1 of preseason how that translates to an actual game because you can only see so much from training camp, as all you guys know. And then offensively, we're trying to hone in on having fun again. That's been the kind of the thing, the note all throughout the offseason is having fun on offense, throwing the deep ball, giving Xavier Worthy some looks. Rashee Rice, while he's back from his injury, there was a report that came out a couple weeks ago that he could be out 2 to 4 games because of suspension of his reckless driving from last year. So that's kind of the good and bad. And you mentioned Tyquan Thornton. That's been the surprise of training camp so far. A guy out of Baylor who a lot of people were fans of him in New England. He tore it up during training camp. And that's kind of his MO, because a lot of Patriot fans will rain on our parade, like saying, yeah, just wait till the games start because, he did that for us during training camp. He looked the part. And so far, him and Mahomes have developed quite a good rapport. He's been running with the ones for a lot of the time, and, he's got speed. And if that can be translated into, actual game reps, we might have something on our hands here with Tyquan Thornton. But, yeah, that's kind of the good and bad of training camp so far.
Yeah, especially when you look at the Chiefs, too. I think some of their biggest questions do come at wide receiver because I feel like that's something that certainly did plague them last year was that inconsistencies at wide receiver and more so the availability because the best ability in all sports, not just football, is availability. And they certainly didn't have that with pretty much their entire wide receiver core. But you have concerns about Rashee Rice. You have injury concerns about Hollywood Brown. There is a world in which Tyquan Thornton, especially early on in the season, might have to play a pivotal role. So what have you seen from Tyquan Thornton that makes you feel confident that this is a guy that really can stand out? Because as someone who has seen Tyquan Thornton live in action in training camp, I mean, this was a guy that in spring practices, the beginning of training camp, he would ball out because the speed, when there's no contact, there's no pads, he was always someone who dominated those practices because he has that 4.2 speed. But when contact was allowed, that's when he started to struggle because he couldn't work well through contact. Since the pads have gone on for Kansas City, have you seen Tyquan slow down or is he performing even better?
I mean, he's performing even better right now. I remember when the first video came out from minicamp, it was like Mahomes throwing a bomb, and then you see it's like number 2 is like, wait, that's Tyquan Thornton. What? And it's only continued because, you guys see that all the time. The minicamp, there's these guys who come out, the gym class heroes who look good with the ones, but then you never see them again. I thought that was going to be the case with Tyquan Thornton. Then he comes out throughout training camp and just continue to be in that number 1 rotating with the ones. And you mentioned availability last week. Also, there was a kind of a scare with Xavier Worthy. They thought it was concussion. He said it wasn't concussion. And he didn't have, he went through the protocol, didn't have a concussion. He's back on the field and he's looked awesome. So with Rashee Rice potentially missing 2 to 4 games of the suspension, based on what Addison got today, I'm assuming it'll probably be around that 2 to 3 games maybe, but we'll see what happens with that situation. But you have Xavier Worthy. You talk about Tyquan Thornton. I hope we're not relying on him throughout the start of the season. But, if he looks good, and the one thing that Mahomes has talked about during the press conferences, during training camp, is trust, that he has trust in Tyquan Thornton, and he also has trust in the new guy we drafted from Utah State in Jalen Royals, a guy who I was kind of surprised that he slipped as far as he did in that draft. 2 years ago, he tore it up at Utah State. Last year, kind of fell off a little bit, but he had I think he was dealing with a foot injury throughout the season. He still put up pretty solid numbers. But Jalen Royals is another guy who has really turned it on throughout camp as well. I think the weapons aspect this year in Kansas City, they were pretty deep in the wide receiver room, I would say. Guys like Sky Moore might not make the team. I know there's some Chief fans who are still on the Sky Moore train, but most have kind of jumped off that. But he's a guy who's going to be fighting for a spot. Nico Remigio out of Fresno State from a couple years ago. Midseason last year became our main punt returner. And he's a guy who's also flashed as well at wide receiver. So there's going to be some spots to kind of to take up this year. And I think Tyquan Thornton has a shot to be involved, but he has as good a shot as, a guy like Jalen Royals, who a lot of Chief fans are excited about, because Mahomes, while he says he's talked trust with Thornton, he's also said the same thing about Royals. Man, you kind of seen that throughout camp as well, especially when he's been rotating with the ones.
Now, Marcus, before we get into the rest here of the AFC West and just hearing their thoughts on everything you just said about the Kansas City Chiefs, given their opportunity to either give you guys praise or to beat you down before the season starts, I do want to ask you about one thing. And look, it's training camp. We can only take so much away from this really until the preseason comes, because it's the trenches. And in training camp, you can only take so much away from the trenches. It's really when the pads go on, that's your first real look. So it's limited opportunities. But you look at the Super Bowl, and the biggest thing that plagued you guys was that offensive line. A lot of turnover on that offensive line this offseason, kind of giving vibes to when you guys lost that Super Bowl a few years ago to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Do you think it's going to be that same switch to where, you guys struggled in the Super Bowl with that offensive line, but you make so many changes during the offseason that it's back to being one of the top echelons in the NFL?
Well, look, I'll give Brett Veach, our general manager, one of the best in the league. And, after that Super Bowl against the Buccaneers, where we got our asses handed to us, he flipped a switch. He got rid of Mitchell Schwartz. He got rid of Eric Fisher. He made the changes, brought in Orlando Brown to be, a stopgap left tackle for a year. Very similar. Last year, Kingsley Suamataia was taking over the Joe Thuney left guard spot. He was a second-round pick, and he was supposed to be a tackle. For whatever reason, no draft expert ever talked about him being a guard. But, Andy Heck and Andy Reid made the switch to make him a guard midway through the year last year. And so far, he's looked apart left guard. Like you said, you can only see so much throughout training camp so far. Right side of the line, Juwan Taylor, who everyone may know him as the Mr. False Start, I would say. Although Lane Johnson gets praised for that, but meanwhile, Juwan Taylor's getting called out for it. I still don't understand that conspiracy. But Juwan Taylor, he said last week, week 4 of the season, he had a meniscus tear, and he played on that throughout the season last year. After the season was over, got it drained. So hopefully he can continue to get better and work on his alignment. Trey Smith locked up on the right side, right guard. He was one of the top free agent guys this past year in the entire class. We retained him and signed him to a long-term deal. Creed Humphrey, best center in the league, I would say. And then left side, that's what the question is, right? It's Josh Simmons, who I think that's where the conversation is going to begin and start with. If he can be a dude, which everyone's saying he can be if he's healthy, we wouldn't have got him at 31 if he wasn't healthy going into that draft. But if he could be the guy that everyone's seeing so far at training camp, in the one-on-ones, in team time with pads, then that's we're going to say, okay, Brett Veach took care of the Chiefs' offensive line issues. Because, again, that Super Bowl, we had a left guard playing left tackle. I mean, the fact that we got there with that situation on the left side, He's pretty impressive, I would say. And then also our left guard last year, Mike Caliendo, who took over the Tooney spot last year, was a disaster. So the left side is much better improved, even with the unknown with Josh Simmons. It's much improved comparatively to what we saw in the Super Bowl. So you don't got to worry about that.
106 of you guys watching right now live for the first episode here of the AFC West Roundtable kicking off for 2025. We appreciate you guys for kicking it with us. Make sure that you guys slam that like button. Help support us massively. Make sure you guys also hit that subscribe button because we are going to be here every single week at this time, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, every single Tuesday to kick it with you for the 2025 NFL season. Make sure you guys also give some love to our creators on the panel. All of the links to their channels are in the description box below. Look, whether you are a Chiefs fan, Chargers fan, Raiders fan, Broncos fan, doesn't matter. What I always say is keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. Andrew, let's go on over to you. You just heard everything that Marcus was talking about with the Kansas City Chiefs. Are you buying into this new era of the Kansas City Chiefs? Do you think that they're going to come back stronger, come back to winning the Super Bowl next year? Or do you think that time is officially passing the Kansas City Chiefs by?
I think it's really hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid, but I do hope this is that season where one of these four teams unseats the Chiefs, and I hope it's the Chargers, of course. We all think it's going to be the Chargers for sure. I know Broncos, Raiders. Raiders will be in the basement, as we all know. Having said that, I think the Chiefs had a really strange draft. I didn't quite understand what they did through the draft. The Broncos made perfect sense. The Raiders, although it pains me to say this, had an incredible draft. So Simone Raiders and Raider fans, I tell you what, you guys have a lot to be proud of. You actually have adults in the room, which is exciting to see. I truly believe this is probably the best division in NFL. Would you guys agree with that? I mean, I absolutely 100% agree with that. What do you guys think in the chat as well? To go to Marcus's points around the good and the bad from the training camp. So some of the bad, Denzel Perriman, our linebacker, our elder statesman, just got arrested for a firearm, which was like, what the hell is that all about, right? He's supposed to be one of the big guys who knows how long he'll be out. The defensive line, we lost Poona Ford. He's up with the Rams now, so we've replaced him with a couple of rookies and a few people from Deshaun Hand and a few others that are actually going to be pretty good. Okay, it looks like everyone says the West is going to be solid in the chat. The one concern I have, and it's been a huge conversation in training camp, folks, the center position. Now, Bradley Bozeman last year was the center. If you saw that Houston game, and I was there, folks, trust me, I wanted to drink an entire bottle of bleach after that game. I am not joking. I wanted to jump off the tallest building I could possibly find. It was just absolutely frustrating. But we got absolutely destroyed by stunts. So the center is Bradley Bozeman. It looks like Jim Harbaugh is going to name him the center. That's who it was last year. And Zion Johnson will still be the left guard. I'm not a huge fan of that idea, but at the end of the day, Jim Harbaugh knows more about football than I'll ever know in my entire lifetime. So I trust him. But the addition of Mekhi Becton at the left guard position is going to game change that entire offensive line. So that's some of the good. That's some of that's some of the bad. That's some of the good. Now let me talk about some of the good, which there's a lot that we could talk about here as well too. Our draft was awesome. I literally love our draft. I talked a little bit about Tom Telesco and how much I hated him as a GM, that we had him for absolute forever. This draft was absolutely incredible. If I was the GM or Jim Harbaugh, I would have picked all of these players. And I know that sounds a little strange to say, maybe not the exact players, but the positions that we needed. We needed wide receivers. We needed running backs. We needed a tight end. We got all three of those, and all three are looking really good in camp. So I'll go through each one of those as well, too. As far as the running back's concerned, y'all know about Amari Hampton. I know a lot of people like to have, Ashton Jeanty and Amari Hampton is kind of ones, and it just kind of depends on what you want, what flavor of ice cream you want. I think Amari Hampton's a little more of a meat and potatoes type of guy. Ashton Jeanty's, a little more sizzle, right? So it just kind of depends on the offense you're going to be running. Our offensive running game is going to be much improved. Last season, folks, we were 27th in the league in running the ball. We are the number one play action team in the NFL. Number one. If we do not execute the play action correctly, the passing game won't open up, and we will not have a solid offense. You saw that in the playoffs. We wet the bed. Justin Herbert had the worst game possible. He's had two horrible playoff games in his career. So the good news is we came out, going back to my point as to why we improved this year. Running back room is better. Offensive line is better. We have three. Obviously we have Lad McConkey, Quentin Johnson, who's, iffy as we all know. But Trey Harris, our second round pick, has looked absolutely incredible in camp. And our fifth round pick, you saw a touchdown against, Detroit. And he's looked absolutely amazing. KLS and Keandre Lambert-Smith. So we've really addressed that. And also there are rumors, folks, we might be getting Keenan Allen back as well too. Mr. Third Down. So it'd be like a final year for him and hopefully get that ring and that opportunity. But again, the tight end room is going to be a lot better as well too. We got a guy named Rondé Gatson. He's more of a slot tight end, not really much of a blocker, but he's more of a vertical downfield threat, which is exciting to see. But again, just remember, I think our entire team defensively, we're going to be top 10 as well. I think we're the number one defense in the league last year. I think the Broncos were number 2, if I remember correctly. Is that right, Ryan? Can you correct me on that?
Yeah. Metrics, like different metrics,
Anyways, but long story short, I think our defense is going to be great. We need to fix the offense. The coaching staff did it. The GM did a masterful job. Look, at the end of the day, it's Jim Harbaugh. He is going to run the ball. We are going to tenderize that meat, and it's win and die in the trenches. That's exactly what's going to happen this year.
Now, Andrew, as for Quentin Johnston, because I really thought that this was going to be the year where he takes that leap and maybe just stops dropping footballs, but he makes plays in camp, he makes plays in the preseason, and then you get to practice the next day and he's dropping wide open passes. You mentioned the possibility of bringing back Keenan Allen, which to me feels like if you do bring back Keenan Allen, it's ultimately to get rid of Quentin Johnston. So as we get closer and closer to 53-man roster cutdowns, is that a guy that Chargers fans are saying he's a potential cut or trade candidate?
Jim Harbaugh loves him. Sanjay Law, wide receiver coach, loves him. And he has actually looked incredible in camp. And Colby, you're 100% correct. He has literally, I think 1 week he scored 8 touchdowns, right? Herbert is just bombing him out, and he's making over-the-shoulder catches, everything. So the reality is he can do it. But can he do it when it matters? That's the big question. Now, I will say this. To your point, he's looked great, but when the lights are on, he seems to get a little rattled. And anyways, I got a much longer conversation about that. I think Quentin Johnson is going to stay with the Chargers. I do not think he'll be traded away, to answer your question. As far as Keenan Allen's concerned, what I have a question about is we have Ladidi McConkey. He actually, Lad McConkey, as we all know, is incredible. He plays the slot. So that's also where Allen plays. I think probably the question mark they're having right now is what role Keenan Allen would play if he comes to the Chargers, right? Because it probably will be a lesser role than he's had in the past. So what does that look like? Is he willing to take it? We have $30 million in cap space. So I'm very curious to see if they can make that relationship work. Keenan Allen's a diva. Let's just call it like we sees it, right, guys? I mean, he wanted money. He went to the Bears. He got us $15 million. At the end of the day, he wants to get paid. I don't know if it's going to work out, but we got $30 million to pay him, and I think the fans want to see it, so we'll see what happens.
Certainly some good free agents still out there with 53-man roster cutdowns also looming. We're going to see kind of a mini free agency between that final preseason game, roster cutdowns, and week 1 of this upcoming NFL season. So those teams with a lot of cap space might be able to still make a few more splash moves. But shout out to the chat, man. You guys know when you donate, you get top priority in the chat. We appreciate you guys for showing love here to the AFC West Roundtable. Goes such a long way. But Amda Brown comes in here with a $10 donation and says, Chiefs concerns family in the house. Ooh, all right. So the Chiefs are already bringing the heat, Marcus. What do you think about that?
That's how we do. We're a charitable organization, man. Look at that. Look at that.
The Chiefs are already running the chat so far, so we're going to have to see. Can the Bolts fans, can the Raiders fans, can the Broncos fans step up? Y'all got to show us in the chat. But Small and Raider, I'm going to go down to you because I want to hear your thoughts on what Andrew just said. What are your thoughts on what you're hearing here from the Chargers coming out of training camp? I think we got you muted there, Small. Here, I got you. Okay. There you go.
Okay, now you can hear me. All right.
I got you, man.
I feel like it's the same thing every year. It sounds good in the off season, but then when the season comes around, they don't really show it. No, but to this point though, with the whole NFL draft, I felt the same way with their draft. I know that we got Ashton Jency, but I hate to say it though, Omarion was one guy that I really, really liked. We'll see if they actually do show up during the season. And I know those are going to be two running backs that a lot of people are going to keep their eye on between Ashton Genty and Omarion Hampton, especially when it comes to that home opener over here in Las Vegas. But with the Chiefs, I know right now we're at the bottom, so it's kind of hard to talk shit from the bottom. I just hope that the team can go out there and prove themselves. Like I said, we got a lot of different pieces here. And I feel like this is a big offseason for the Raiders moving forward. And I feel like the reason why a lot of Raider fans, and including myself, is really excited about the season and have more, at least, optimism is because we have people that actually can run the show. We've seen your boy Josh McDaniels come over here with Dave Ziegler, not really have a plan. Then we had AP last year. As much as he gave us hope, didn't really have a plan there as well. But now with Pete Carroll over here, I feel like it should be okay. And going into training camp, of course, I'll start off with the bad. Everybody knows what happened with Christian Wilkins. I think that was a huge blow to the defensive line because we expected a lot out of them just for everything to kind of go downhill. And one of the main reasons why I don't like getting big name free agents is because it always seems to happen with us, with every single big name that we get, whether it's him, Chandler Jones before that, AB before that. But I feel like him being injured last year, we got to see a lot of other people step up on the defensive line. Adam Butler, Jonah Laulu, who we just got last year from the Indianapolis Colts. We recently just traded away Jacorian Bennett yesterday to add more depth to the defensive line, bringing in Thomas Booker. And from what I've been hearing, Thomas Booker seems like a solid guy that can at least be a rotational defensive lineman. So I know he's not a really big name for the Raiders, and I know we're not expecting much out of him, but at least he provides some solid depth there. Some other bad news was Lonnie Johnson actually went down with the injury on Saturday. So he's going to be missing around 3 to 4 weeks. I know Pete Carroll really had big plans for him this year. And I guess the last thing I can say about bad news is AOC. He struggled a bit when we had the mock game on Saturday. So I've heard mixed emotions about, I heard mixed things about AOC in camp, but as long as we have our starting quarterback and Geno Smith, I think we should be okay. And I guess going into the good, I feel like there was a lot of good this year with the Raiders. We made a lot of good moves. And I think this is the first year that I felt happy with the offseason with free agency and even the draft. First, getting the coaches, getting guys with experience. I know we were talking about Ben Johnson coming over here possibly, but I really wanted Pete Carroll, even though he's 73 years old, he has a lot of experience. And I feel like that battle between him and Jim Harbaugh is going to be kind of fun when it comes down to those rivalry games. So bringing him in, bringing in Tom Brady, of course, I know you know a little bit about Tom Brady. So having him up in the building, helping out with the draft, helping them with the hiring process, bringing in coaches, bringing in Chip Kelly. I feel like we brought a lot of veteran leadership over here, at least in the coaching staff. Geno Smith was a huge trade, which I think everything I've been seeing from camp, even at the mock game, Geno Smith looks good. He looks comfortable in the pocket. And we just haven't had a quarterback that had that kind of that swagger about him, just comfortable in the pocket, able to run, throw. And then we got a lot of young players over here. Like I stated before, we got Brock Bowers, of course, but then we got young receivers that we drafted. Dante Thornton Jr., the depth chart just came out today, and he's going to be the third wide receiver. He's going to be starting, so that's huge. Brock Bowers and then Michael Mayer. We're using him a lot more in training camp. So having that duo at the tight end position, kind of like, Aaron Hernandez and Rob Gronkowski. But I feel like we should be okay. And then we got a lot of other young players on the defensive side of the ball, like Darian Porter. He's a guy that is the typical Pete Carroll cornerback. Reminds him so much of Richard Sherman, Tariq Woolen, that type of a cornerback. So I feel like overall, this team is just filled with a lot of solid young players and veteran players. And if there's anybody that I trust the most to bring out the best out of the players, is definitely Pete Carroll. So I think just having a guy like him at the top should definitely solidify this team, especially with the pieces we have.
Now, Simone, my biggest question for you and this Raiders squad is more specifically on the defensive side of the football, because I feel like offensively, yes, you might not have a great wide receiver core, but you got Jacoby Myers, who has always been a very good security blanket as a number 2 wide receiver. You got arguably the best 12 personnel with the 2 tight end sets in the entire National Football League, led by Brock Bowers. And then now obviously having Ashton Genty behind a pretty good offensive line and much upgraded at quarterback. But with the defense, definitely some concerns and definitely some question marks there in that secondary. You added Jamal Adams, but from what we're hearing, he's going to play and have opportunities to play more at linebacker than he is more safety. So how much of an addition was that even in the secondary? And sometimes you can mask those issues in the secondary by having a dominant defensive line, and you have Max Crosby. But my question for you is, do you think that Max Crosby is going to be enough to mask the issues that you're going to have in the secondary? Because one guy alone, he can't do everything by himself. And you had Christian Wilkins to be able to back him up in the interior of that D-line, that 1-2 punch, but now he's gone. What is your confidence level in that D-line's ability to get to the quarterback on a consistent basis, given where your secondary is at?
Yeah, I think my confidence definitely is up there with the defensive line. I know you stated it. Our secondary is not really all there, but it all starts with the defensive line. And I think what we missed big was last year was Malcolm Kuntz going down right before the season. And I know it's not a household name with a lot of other teams, but Malcolm Kuntz was one of the main reasons why we went on that run the year prior with AP. And he was in a perfect position to break out last year. But having him back with Max Crosby, that's his guy on the other side. And yes, we don't have Christian Wilkins, but when we lost Christian Wilkins, earlier in the season last year in week 5, we had guys step up, Adam Butler, Jonah Laulu, and then we still got Tyree Wilson, who we might implement at the defensive tackle position. So as far as the defensive line, I think we should be okay. And I have a lot of confidence in them to step up, especially with the linebacker core, with Devin White coming over here, Elandon Roberts, and Jamal Adams isn't going to be in the secondary at all. He actually just been in the linebacker room. So he's going to be playing closer to the line of scrimmage. And that's why I said, with Pete Carroll, he puts these players in positions to succeed. He knows that Jamal Adams isn't the best in coverage, so he's going to play him where he knows he can succeed. So I feel like having a defensive line that could get to the quarterback early is going to really help us out a lot. And the secondary, we got Jeremy Chin coming over here from Washington. We got Isaiah Polamau. They still got something to prove, but we still got some young dogs over here, and that's why I'm really excited to see this first preseason, at least for the young players like Darian Porter, Eric Stokes coming over here from Green Bay, to see how they gel, especially because Pete Carroll came out today and said the main reason why they moved on from Jacorian Bennett, which I wasn't on board with it, but he felt real confident with the players that we had in the secondary right now. So I feel like, yes, it's not going to just take Max Crosby. We know it's going to take more than just Max, but he's going to be a leader, and everybody that's been under his wing has definitely bought into what the Raiders are doing right now.
Interesting stuff. Let's kick it on over to Ryan. And Ryan, let's hear your thoughts on what Samoan just had to say about the Raiders. Are you buying into all of the hype that this team has with a new quarterback, a new running back, one of the top tight ends, Tom Brady helping to run this team, or is it the same old Raiders?
It's going to be more so the same old Raiders, in my opinion. It's not going to be exact copies from each year, how bad they've been, but they will be, in my opinion, significantly better for the reasons that he stated, who's actually running the organization. Can Brady run an organization correctly? I mean, we're going to find out. He's making some of the right decisions. Pete Carroll, we're going to find out if he can replicate that formula that he did back in Seattle over here with the Raiders, because at the end of the day, it's impossible to get milk out of a car, spoiled milk out of a car. And everyone in that, the second something goes bad, is everyone going to start to get those same feelings again? Because I've experienced that firsthand. You got to rotate players out. They still have a lot of that same roster. They know what it's like to lose. So kind of getting rid of that losing mentality out of them. And I know Pete Carroll, he's a great coach when it comes to, hyping his players up, making them feel confident and all that, but it's a tough job. So that's why I kind of agree with him on more of that 8 to 9 win. Maybe I'm going to go a little bit lower, between 7 to 8 as the ceiling around there. But I'm not scared of them by any means, but I don't think his season will be as bad as it has been in the past years.
Interesting. Now, Ryan, while we got you here, let's kick it on over to the Broncos, and let's hear about what's going on with the Broncos headed into year 2 of Bo Nix.
Yeah, so the offseason mostly focused on just patching things up. Linebackers, safety, adding some depth everywhere. Got a tight end as well, Evan Ingram. So offseason was fun. We got some new toys to play with and kind of really just go full go and make a run for the championship and try to compete with the Chiefs. So yeah, I picked up Evan Ingram, Dre Greenlaw, Hufanga, many other guys, drafted RJ Harvey, so we can finally have a running back because, oh my gosh, people don't even realize Bo Nix got us to the playoffs with 0 run game. Nothing. It was the worst run game I've seen in years because every year, don't have a quarterback. We had wide receivers. We had a decent run game. Javonte would smash people in the mouth. And then when we needed him, nothing. Dude gets like lace tackled. So I'm excited for what's going on now. Lot of good. I'm gonna go into the good and the bad. Picked up all those guys. Bo is looking good in camp every day. He's been looking good. He had a bad day the other day, threw a few picks, but he bounced back today and was ripping it again. And coaches love what they're seeing from him. Everybody in the media loves what they're seeing from him. Kind of worries me because I kind of like, being that underdog, people not really expecting what the team's going to do and underrating the team, putting a chip on their shoulder. So now that everyone's kind of saying, we're going to be a dominant force, kind of scares me a little bit because typically that hasn't gone too well in the past couple of years, specifically the first year when we got Russ and even the first year with Sean Payton because they thought that whole Russ and Sean thing was going to take off. But for the bad, I mean, Dre Greenlaw, he struggled with these injuries a little bit, and I was hoping that our strength and conditioning staff was going to help him out with that. But obviously, he had that slight, I think it was a quad injury, a strained quad injury in the middle of the offseason. And then now he had another injury the other day, which was very, very slight. He says a different part of his quad, but still, it's still kind of scary. And we're betting big on him this year. He is supposed to be the leader of this defense. Pat is going to be the best player, but Dre Greenlaw is supposed to be the leader of this defense this year. So if he's not there to beat Ashton Genty in the middle of the field right there, and just secure this entire defense, man, like, I don't know what's going to happen because then Drew Sanders as well. He's been a promising young linebacker that we drafted a few years ago, and he's been hit with the injury bug every single year. And he got injured again the other week, and he's going to be out for 4 to 5 weeks. So then it's kind of like we're kind of iffy right now about the linebacker position. And then besides that, I mean, we're pretty much cooling everywhere else. Corners, we're just trying to see if Jahdae Barron is going to secure that cornerback 3 spot. Like, oh my gosh, cornerback 3, we're fine. We got other guys, they're competing for it. And then we also got J.K. Dobbins as well. So we're just looking for our running back 3. So, oh my gosh, big deal. We got 1, 2, and now we just need 3. So everything's looking good right now for us.
Now, one question I do have for you here, Ryan, is not too long ago, we saw Courtland Sutton get that contract extension. Were you pro Courtland Sutton extension, or were you someone who said, we need to get a little bit younger, right? We got Bo Nix. We got something here. He's going to be the future. This team needs to get younger around him. Or, again, were you just pro? Yes, we should have given him the extension.
I wasn't completely pro, but I understood the pros of the extension because Bo, he's going to his second year, courts that safety blanket. Yeah, we do want to get younger. We did by drafting guys, and we're continuing to build up. We didn't really go out and get anyone or any wide receivers in free agency because I was hoping we were going to get T. Higgins. If there was a guy we were going to replace Court with, I was hoping it was going to be T. Higgins, but for some reason, he wanted to stay with the Bengals. I mean, dude, the organization's garbage over there. Just leave. They didn't really want to pay you, but whatever. That's his loss.
We're all with you there.
Yeah, so the issue with Court is I'm kind of on a Court hate train, like a love-hate train, but there's a lot of hate for a while because this dude drops the ball so much. I know everyone sees his big catches, but I used to play wide receiver. And listen, obviously I didn't play in college or anything. I'm sitting here. But the one thing as a wide receiver, when the ball's coming to your face, you catch with your hands. This dude catches with his chest every single time, and it pisses me off, and he drops it. The first video I saw after he got his extension was him on a little out drill dropping the ball. Like, really, you just got paid, and that's what you're going to do. So if he does that, no excuses. No excuses during the season. So now he's really on the hot seat for me. You better not drop a damn thing, Court, because you just got that money. And he basically got that last contract for free because he was injured 2 years in a row pretty much. So he just got free money, and he's like, oh, I finally got my 1,000-yard season. And then now I want more money again. But, here's what I was fine with. He's the 18th best, or he's the 18th highest paid receiver. So I'm like, okay, whatever. It's not big bucks. We need that continuity with Bo as well. And Court being there, he's only going to be here for about probably 2 more years, depending on if guys step up. Pat Bryant is looking good, so he's probably going to get a lot of playing time. Troy Franklin, it's I put a lot of money on Troy right now because he's starting to step up. He got his number 11 back, so hopefully he gets his powers back because he was number 16 last year, and he was dropping balls. He didn't have his best year, but it sounds like the game's slowing down for him. So expect these young guys to catch up and ultimately succeed, Court. Especially Pat Bryant, because he'll easily slide that X position because Sean Payton did compare him to Michael Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, look, Courtland Sutton is definitely going to have to catch everything that is going his way with a running back core that maybe has a little bit more potential compared to what it was last year, but maybe didn't add that number one addition, maybe add that confident back that you can rely on to make this a multi-dimensional Broncos offense. I'm not going to lie to you, Ron, okay? I'm not going to lie to you. I really, really thought with Travion Henderson sitting right there in the second round that you guys were going to trade up, but he falls right into the Patriots lap.
You had no idea what I was going through on draft night, man. I wanted Omarion Hampton so bad. I was at the draft in Green Bay, and then when we selected Jahdae Barron, and I'll be completely honest, like I watch college football, but like when it comes to defensive players, I'm not going to know who they are all the time unless they're from like Bama or like some of these other schools. I'm not going to know who they are. So I was completely shocked. And then when he went to the Chargers, I got even more pissed. I was more pissed about him going to the Chargers than us actually losing him. If he would have gone to like any other team, not in the AFC West, I wouldn't have cared. And then when we passed up on Henderson as well, I was all right, what are we doing? And then when we drafted RJ Harvey, I was like, really, what are we doing? Because he's a short dude. And then I later looked at some film, looked at this guy. I'm like, okay, he's a completely different runner than like Jaleel McLaughlin, because that's who I was thinking about. And this dude, Jaleel, I love him. He's got good speed. But when you put him out there on the field, you know it's going to him. He's not a receiving back, and he can't break tackles at all because he's really small. So he's just a complete tell. Can't pass block whatsoever. But after watching RJ Harvey, he's just a massive bowling ball. So he can pass block. He can be a threat in the pass game. He's a 3-down back, and he's got a big burst of speed. And he was actually up there. He was just only right behind Genty in college football for most yards last season. So, but no one really knew about him. Neither did I, because he was on that UCF offense, which was awful, and he basically carried them.
So, Ryan, when you look at this running back core, do you feel confident that it's going to succeed with running back by committee? Or do you feel like, you know what, these guys are going to be stopgaps. We're filling holes for the upcoming season, but we're going to be leaving 2025 saying we still need that number one back?
No, I don't think we'll be leaving 2025 thinking we need that number one back. Running back by committee, with Sean, it's kind of weird. He does everything based on fit. So it's whoever we're playing that week and whatever defense they're running. That's in based on the style of running back, like that running backs that we have. That's who's going to get more reps based on how well they fit the defense and how they play that. So it may not look like we have a definitive running back one. I know J.K. Dobbins, he's going to be starting off as the running back one, but like Javonte would be listed as running back one, get the first snap, and then it would be like Estime for the rest of the game. Like Estime did a lot of damage against the Chiefs in that first game of the series last year, and then we didn't see him too much after that. And we're like, what happened? It's just all about match with Sean, ultimately.
All right. Well, guys, this is where we kick it off to you. You just heard breakdowns about every single team in the AFC West, their training camp, the good, the bad, the projections going into 2025. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the live chat. And if you're watching it back as a replay, let us know in the comment section below. But fellas, one more thing we got to get into before we end off episode 1 here of the AFC West Roundtable for 2025. We have preseason week 1. Now, look, okay, Andrew, I know you already played, but I want to hear your thoughts about the upcoming game. So we're going to talk about the preseason. Marcus, I want to start with you. The Kansas City Chiefs, you guys are taking on the Arizona Cardinals. Break down this game for me. What are you specifically looking for heading into this first preseason game?
Well, first thing I'm looking for, I think everyone on here can agree, we're all looking for health. If we're ones are going to play, or anybody who plays in this game, just get out of there healthy. We don't need to see anybody getting injured, nothing. We want to see all these guys play week 1 when it actually matters in a month. What I'm looking for, really, I mean, I kind of talked about it earlier. I want to see how much the linemen play, because they only get so much contact and work during training camp. I want to see Josh Simmons. I want to see how he looks in this game against the Cardinals. I don't care if we win or lose. I think we're a 1.5 point favorite in this game. So I really don't care what the score is, the outcome. To me, this is kind of like our last game of the season against the Broncos. I don't really care what the score is. Really, I just want to get out there with health. But Josh Simmons, I'm looking for. And then the receiver battles, the big thing for me. I want to see how Sky Moore looks. I want to see how Tyquan Thornton looks, because although he's rotating with the ones, he's going to be playing a lot in this game just to see if he can, bring what he's doing in the practice field to the game Saturday night against the Cardinals. And then also a guy I was really excited about coming into the draft, and we ended up drafting him in round 7, is Brashard Smith, the ultimate Swiss Army knife, a guy who was a receiver at the University of Miami who ended up becoming a running back at SMU. And he's a guy that's been getting a lot of reps with the ones. Mahomes is a big fan of him. Andy Reid's a big fan of him, of course, because you can line him up as a receiver. You can bring him out of the backfield. You can do a lot of things with him. So going to be curious to see how he's utilized in this game and how often he's utilized, because you'll be able to see how a team actually feels about their guys that they're being utilized in the first quarter of the game, and then we don't see him ever again. It's like, okay, well, they actually have big plans for this guy. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm looking at the trenches, Josh Simmons, how he looks. And then I want to see the defensive ends. I want to see our first round pick from a couple of years ago, King Felix, FAU, a guy who hasn't really done much since he's been in the league. I want to see how he looks. Right now he's behind one of our third round picks, Ashton Gelati, on the depth chart. And a guy who was a first round pick a couple of years ago, when you're behind a rookie third round pick, it's like, okay, what's going on here? So we're hoping for a third year turnaround for King Felix, FAU. But yeah, I'm excited to see the rotational defensive ends in this game. So a lot of little things to look at. But yeah, those are the things if I can put a little bullet point list of the guys and players I'm looking for on Saturday night.
Chiefs fans, let us know what you guys are looking for in the comment section below. Week 1 of the preseason against the Arizona Cardinals. Andrew, let's kick it on over to you guys for your second preseason game. You guys are going to be playing the New Orleans Saints here on August 10th. What are you looking for in your second preseason game?
Yeah, just further donkey punching NFL teams, right? Now, I'll say this, guys. Look, at the end of the day, we need depth. The Chargers have always had a problem with having depth on the team, right? Our ones are good. We've always had talent, guys. Phil Rivers, Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. You can go down the row. We've always had talent, but we never had depth behind our players. So I want to see what our 2s and 3s can do against the Saints. Be interesting because Brandon Staley, our ex head coach, and also Kellen Moore, the new head coach of the Saints, will be back in LA. Interestingly, my other 2 brothers, my actual brothers from the podcast, will be there at that game. I will not. But I will say this, a couple things that I'm looking at, and I will be watching from home, as my brothers are going to be enjoying the preseason game in person. Zion Johnson at center, I think is going to be an interesting conversation because he is a left guard starter. He was burned. He had his worst year ever. They're trying to move him to center. He's going to be getting about a quarter or maybe a half of the game's worth of snaps at center, to see if he really can take over the job from Bradley Bozeman. I truly believe the Chargers want him to become the center. Unfortunately, I don't think he is going to beat out Bradley Bozeman at that position. So I do wonder if Zion might even just get benched for another player. There is some discussion that could happen. That's a whole other conversation. As far as the offense is concerned as well, too, I want to continue seeing what these rookies do. Let me make this abundantly clear. This season is going to, again, I've already said this before, we are the number 1 play action team in the NFL. If we cannot run the ball, we will not do well. You saw us run the ball a lot in the first game versus Detroit. I expect the same. We have 4, maybe 5 really good running backs. And again, Najee Harris is out because he got a firework in the eye. What a crazy story about that. So he should be ready week 1. But you're going to see a little bit of Amari Hampton at the beginning. You'll probably see Kamani Vidal. I'm hoping to see Raheem Sanders or Rocket Sanders, undrafted free agent from South Carolina. He's looked really good in camp, been a little bit banged up. Hopefully he'll be there for this game. The other thing I want to see is the new wide receivers, right? Trey Harris, I want to see a little more from him, more from KLS. And then tight end, Oronde Gatson, that we got from Syracuse, the slot tight end. He's actually looked really good in camp. Haven't seen much in the preseason. Switching to defensive end or defensive side of the ball, and I'll wrap up here. I want to see what the defensive backs can do. There's 2 people that we drafted in the 7th round that I think are going to be pretty good. R.J. Mickens out of Syracuse. He's kind of a Swiss Army knife defensive back. The one thing about the Chargers and Jesse Minter's defense, they play both corner and safety. So they are cross-trained players. That's one thing that R.J. Mickens does very well, and also Chikwueze Bridges from Florida. They were both drafted in the 7th round and have looked very good at both corner and safety. So I'm interested to see how they perform. They look good in camp. Let's see what they do in an actual game. And the defensive end, if I do have to say, I'm a little worried. Again, we have Khalil Mack and then we have Thule. We lost Joey Bosa, as we all know, but we got Kyle Kennard, a rookie, has not looked great in camp. If there is one person that I think might have been not a huge fan of in the draft, that might have been him. He has not looked great in camp so far. Let's see what he does in this game. And the defensive line, we actually, I think, are going to be fine. Bottom line, the defensive line is a big question mark, but they're going to rotate some of the players that we picked up in free agency, Deshaun Hand and the like. So that's what I'm looking for. And I'll tell you, I just have to say this. This is the best division in the NFL. I am so excited. I think it's going to be amazing. It's going to be fun. And I have to say this, Simone Raider, the Raiders are not going to suck. And I know the Raider fans are going to hate me for saying that. But you are I have to admit, you're probably the most realistic Raider fan I've ever met so far, Simone Raider. So I give you props on that, my friend.
Wow, check that out. Some love on episode 1 of the AFC West Roundtable. That is certainly not something you see every day, and that's certainly not something that is going to last a whole lot longer as we inch closer and closer to week 1 of the regular season. Chargers fans, let us know what you guys are looking for in your second preseason game in the comments section below. Guys, also make sure you check out the pinned link in the comments in the live chat. Takes you to Roundtable Sports Patreon, okay? This is where you guys can get exclusive benefits such as film reviews on college players, on NFL players. You guys can also call in a 30-second call-in to any Roundtable show. If you are a member of the Patreon, it's not just the AFC West Roundtable, but you guys can call into any show that Roundtable Sports has. Fourth and Forever, AFC East Roundtable, AFC West, come in live on the show. Let your voice be heard, man. Let your voice be heard. Ask your questions. And the panel, of course, is forced to answer your questions. So make sure you guys go ahead and check out that link below. But Small Raider, let's go down to you and let's talk about your first preseason game, because the Raiders, maybe not the revenge game that we're necessarily looking for to preseason game. It doesn't really mean much, but week 1 of the preseason, you guys are playing the Seattle Seahawks. What are you looking for in this game for your Raiders?
Oh, well, first and foremost, man, just seeing the starters out there, because Pete Carroll just came out today that the starters will play. Now, I don't know how long they're going to be playing, but just to see all the new faces, like I said before, Geno Smith over here, having Ashton Jensen here, Brock Bowers. Of course, it was good to see him during training camp and practice and even the mock game. They look good, but I want to see if they actually look good when the time does come when they have to go out there and play. So even if we get to see him for one series, I'm really excited to see the starters go out there and play. Another quarterback that I really want to see is Cam Miller. We got him from NDSU. He was a guy that Tom Brady vouched for in the draft. So just to see what he can do out there, he's our QB3 right now, but you never know if he could kind of work his way up the ranks. Then seeing the offensive line as well. We moved JPJ to the right guard position, so we got Jordan Meredith starting at center. So that's going to be something to really look out for. Also seeing how the red zone looks, because we always struggle in the red zone, whether it was back with Derek Carr, whether it was this past year, we had no run game. We didn't really have nothing going for us on the offensive side of the ball. But, I've been hearing a lot of good things out of camp that the red zone offense has been solid for the most part. So I want to see that happen in game time. And then, of course, we spoke on it earlier. The secondary is probably one of our weaker links. Even though we got some dogs over here, we still got to see them go out there and perform well. We don't have no Jacorin Bennett over here. We got Darian over here, Darian Porter, Eric Stokes over here. So we'll see how they fare against the Seattle Seahawks offense. Then seeing Jamal Adams play linebacker, that's going to be interesting to see for sure. Looking at some of the young players on the defensive line, like I said, we don't have Christian Wilkins this year, and we do have some solid defensive linemen, but I want to see how the depth looks with the young guys like J.J. Pegues that we drafted, and Tonka Hemingway, and even Thomas Booker coming over here from the Eagles. And then looking at the young wide receivers as well. Dante Thornton Jr. has been shining throughout training camp, throughout the whole offseason. He's become one of Geno Smith's #1 targets outside of Jacoby Myers. So seeing him, and also our second-round wide receiver in Jack Besh, I want to see how well he does out there. And then, of course, last but not least, just seeing how Ashton Jensen looks out there. Even if we get him for one drive, does he look good? Are we going to see the Ashton Jency that has been, running wild all through the college season, or are we going to see the Ashton Jency that played Penn State? We don't know. But overall, I'm just excited to see this new regime, like I always am. I mean, this is the third regime in 3 years, so I'm just hoping for the best this year. As far as the season as well, man, for the rest of the preseason, it's going to be a really good eye opener for us to see who's really about it and who's not.
Raiders fans, make sure you guys let us know in the comment section below what you are looking for in your first preseason game coming up here. So let's go ahead and let's transition over to the final team, and that is the Denver Broncos. Another game here in which it's like, it's the preseason, it doesn't really mean anything, but a game in which some of your players maybe would love to get that revenge, if you will. You guys are playing the San Francisco 49ers. Ryan, talk to us. What are you looking for in this game?
Yeah, so the obvious storyline is going to be, it's a small storyline because it is a preseason game. It's going to be Hufanga and Greenlaw coming back to the 49ers, or going back to the 49ers, seeing the former team. To be honest, who knows if Greenlaw even plays? Like Marcus said, I just want everyone to be healthy because we got a lot of guys. There's a lot of excitement. The last thing I want is one of those guys from the starting lineup to get injured. So just seeing at least Hufanga and Greenlaw, because those guys are the ones with the major injuries coming out of there safe. That'd be a big plus. And then also offensively, it's about the skill guys. It's going to be about seeing those running backs, seeing how the whole entire run game looks for. Who knows how many drives it will be. I went to a preseason game last year and it was Bo's first preseason game. Sean had him out there, at least he had Bo out there for, a few drives. It wasn't just one drive. So we'll see how much these guys play. But seeing those running backs, seeing guys like Pat Bryant, seeing how he runs his routes, if he gets any catches, also seeing if Bo connects with Evan Ingram, if he puts him out there, because he's more of a veteran. He's in his early 30s now. So seeing if that guy's out there, but typically Sean does have all the starters out there, so he'll probably be out there for a drive. And then also guys like Jahdae Barron, seeing how he fits in there and gets accustomed to that NFL speed. I remember watching Pat in his first game a few years ago, and he had a nice pick six, and he looked like he was well established already, and he was ready to go. So just seeing how Jahdae Barron it plays in that game as well, because Kyle Shanahan, he's a great coach at the end of the day. They may not have the best roster because of the cap, so he's still going to have his guys ready to play. It's going to be a great experience, and I just want to see kind of what our depth is looking like for this year.
Well, Broncos fans, it's where we kick it off to you guys. Let us know in the comment section below what you guys are looking for in your first preseason game against the 49ers. But guys, that is going to wrap us up here for the first episode of the AFC West Roundtable back here for the 2025 season. We got the best damn crew on the platform representing every single team for the AFC West. So make sure you guys don't just show love here to the AFC West Roundtable by leaving a like, subscribing to the channel, but make sure you guys, again, also subscribe to each of these guys' channels. The links in the description box below. Go show them some love. Go show them some hate too, man. That's okay too. That's what we do here at the AFC West Roundtable, baby. If you guys like this episode, just you wait, because this season is about to get scrappy. They played it nice today, okay? They're still trying to become friends, but once that happens, man, they are going to be going at each other's necks all season long, and this is the one-stop shop for everything involved the AFC West division, man. Make sure you guys leave a big like on the way out. Big shout out to RotoWire again. Make sure you guys use that code RTS to get 15% off and absolutely dominate your fantasy leagues this upcoming season, and become a Patreon member to call in to every single show at Roundtable Sports and get exclusive film reviews. But as always, I am Colby Cochran, the host here of the AFC West Roundtable. We will see you guys live next Tuesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for watching.